What's it like to be gay and sober? Maybe not as fun as you expect. I'm James, and yesterday I was 4 years sober, and I wanted to do a video to talk about what my experience has been like not drinking. It's definitely very different to what I initially thought it was going to be, and I found it interesting. Maybe you'll skip, maybe this isn't for you, but if you are currently thinking, what would my life be like if I didn't drink alcohol? And all you can imagine is it will just be terrible, miserable, lonely, then maybe stick around because it's not as bad as you think it might be. So, why did I get sober 4 years ago? Well, in all honesty, it wasn't 4 years ago I wanted to get sober. I wanted to stop drinking a long time before that. It took me about maybe 3 or 4 years of trying to figure out how I was going to be able to stop drinking and enjoy it. It's something that people, I think, who don't struggle with this, and this is going to divide people maybe. There'll be some people out there who are like, just if you don't want to drink, just don't drink. Just stop drinking. Just don't have that many. Don't go to the bar and order more. Don't buy it when you go to the shop. And that's great for those people, but there are different people who, and I was one of these, when I was to start drinking, I just wouldn't be able to stop. And I would have the occasional night where I could have a glass of wine with a meal, and that was great. And I would get the bus home, and I'd be like, yes, I did it. But that wasn't my normal drinking. Usually my drinking was binge every weekend, pretty much. And it was, fine during uni, because isn't that what everybody does at uni, I thought. But then when I started to get into like my mid-20s, late 20s, early 30s, it was becoming a point where I was living for the weekend and was kind of trapped, and all that alcohol and the effects that it had on my mental health, my physical health, like my bank balance, everything was just beyond what I was happy with. But I kind of felt myself trapped in this, not knowing what to do. I'd try not drinking, like people suggested, for like a couple of weeks or a month. But what I found is if I managed to get a week, or I think 3 months was the most I managed on my own, and I then just went out and had a massive binge after 3 months, because of course I felt like I was giving up something that was like fun and exciting. And so, if I said to you, you can't have chocolate for 6 months, what are you going to do after 6 months? Like, when we believe it's something that is like really valuable, we binge it when we have the chance to have it again. And that's kind of what my journey was like with it. And I was struggling for a couple of years, and eventually I managed to find some support groups, and these support groups have really helped me to be able to get sober in a way that means that I'm actually not even thinking about drinking. It doesn't bother me now. A lot of people, when I say, I don't drink alcohol, or I'm sober, they'll go, oh gosh, I'm really sorry, or oh, like, do you want me to not drink around you? And it doesn't bother me that other people are drinking, because like, it was never other people's drinking for me that was a problem. It was my intake of alcohol and the impact it was having on my life. So yeah, it's something that now I honestly, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but honestly, it is, I think, one of the biggest things I did in my life. And before that, I was like university, getting my degree, getting into a career. But on reflection now, 4 years later, I know that there's so many things in my life today that I really struggled to have when I was drinking alcohol. So I'll talk to you about what some of those things are, really. So yeah, I suppose I always struggled to be in relationships when I was drinking. I just struggled to be honest, because I think I knew that I had other problems that I didn't want to really share, or didn't want help from other people. So I kept it to myself, and I behaved badly to a lot of people, and I lied, I cheated, and I put my hands up, and I wasn't a good person back then. And alcohol was just something that just kind of kept me trapped in that cycle of beating myself up. My mental health was terrible, it was shocking, and I treated myself like a piece of shit, and but also like had this massive ego and thought I was so important and I deserved everything, and got angry and frustrated all the time. And whereas now, 4 years after having not drank, what I find is that actually I'm able to be honest and show up in a relationship, because I'm not using drink as my way to escape difficult conversations in a relationship today. Whenever there was any awkwardness in a relationship or difficulty, rather than me just say to my partner, oh, this is upsetting me, can you not do this? Or like, this is making me feel this way. I wouldn't say how I felt because of fear of rejection, and then I would just keep that resentment and it would build. And ultimately then I'd be like, well, I deserve a drink this weekend because of X, Y, Z. And that's a pattern that was similar across lots of different things in my life, not just relationships, but work, everything, relationships with family. It was always, there was a reason, because I am justified in doing this. Whereas today, when I don't use that path, I just deal with the things as they happen, and that is scary. It was really scary at first. It was really terrifying for me, to be really honest and vulnerable. But what I found is that by doing that, I've been able to now rebuild certain relationships in my life today. And some of those relationships in my life have drifted away, and that's a natural part, I think, of when you stop drinking. You actually find that what you want from life is slightly different. And when I first, 4 years ago, said, I want to stop drinking, all I wanted to do was just have exactly the same lifestyle, with the same friends, doing the same things in a way, but just not drinking. And actually, what I found is, within 3 months of me deciding I was going to stop drinking alcohol, then COVID hit. And so for me, that was actually, it helped me, because as I said, my drinking was never, I was never a daily drinker, I was never a morning drinker or anything like that. I know that's probably where I would have got to if I hadn't have dealt with it. But for me, my drinking was weekends, and it was for excess, always. And for me, what I found is that when COVID hit, it meant I couldn't go out and socialise with people. So a lot of my drinking triggers that were, oh, it's Friday night, it's this person's birthday, let's go for a meal, all restaurants were shut. There was no one celebrating any birthdays. So it was great because it meant I got to just deep dive into focusing on myself for really the first time, I think, ever. Actually really look at what was going on. And today, now what's different is I have a therapist, I'm working through stuff with them. I'm learning more about what I want from my life and my priorities, and honestly, I feel like I'm in such a good place right now, and that is mainly because of the fact that every day I know that I can build on the progress I've made before, whereas what I found when I was drinking is that I'd maybe make some progress, and I did have therapy when I was drinking, but I would then have a big binge and cause loads of chaos and drama, and that would just pull me back into all of the trauma of what was going on that week, or all the people I've upset or lied to or hurt, or the pain I was kind of hiding in myself and not being able to be honest. I don't know. This is completely different to the video that I scripted. So I just thought just talk naturally to camera about it. So yeah, I mean, I hope some people found that useful. If you have got any questions and you are thinking yourself about stopping drinking, then send me a message on Instagram. You'll be able to find the links in my YouTube channel or on TikTok, and I'm happy to answer any questions. For me, like I said, it's been the thing that I'm so glad I've done, and I've got other friends that I now know who also don't drink, and I spend my time with them because what we have as a friendship is we talk about stuff that's really in depth, and I love that. I want to get into like the real things of life. I don't want to be like surface level chatting shit to people over and over again every weekend, same old, because I just became very bored and fed up of that. And so yeah, anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. So like I said, if you do want to stop drinking, send me a message, or also just have a Google. If you Google for how do I stop drinking, support groups to stop drinking, there's loads out there. So yeah, good luck and thanks for watching.